You are now watching Juke Boy Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph, here with the homie and my co-host, the homie Kai.
Yeah, what's
How,
good, man?
How you feeling, brother?
I'm feeling great
Oh,
today.
snap. You feeling like Tony the Tiger, I see.
All right.
Ha ha.
I like that. Nice segue, man.
Ha ha ha. But you see the logo behind us? You already know what's popping. You want to do any type of photo shoots, music videos, podcasts like what you're watching, call on the bottom of that screen, 707 Fit Boxer. Make sure you bring a jacket, though. It's kind of cold in there.
Yeah, I'm naturally cool, so I bring the temp down for sure.
I came to bring the pain,
So,
hardcore to the brain.
But we have a great show today, guys. We have a
Come
lot of
like
different things that have been going on, from the NBA trades.
Yeah, it's been a wild day.
Super Bowl is on the horizon. Super Bowl is on the horizon, Ralph.
On the horizon.
Yes, I can feel it in the air.
Hey, that was a good one. That was a jam right there, actually.
Yeah.
But straight off the rip, let's jump into it. You brought up trades. Karis LeVert traded from the Pacers to the Cavaliers.
Yes.
I do not have the details because certain stuff is dying, so I don't.
Yeah,
I gotta conserve the battery energy. But I know for a fact Ricky Rubio was in the trade.
Yes, Ricky Rubio was in trade, I believe.
And some draft picks.
And they wound up acquiring Karis LeVert,
a
closer. Yeah, and I look at
bucket getter.
Yeah, and he's on the Cavaliers, and so we look at the Cavaliers currently, Ralph, and the Cavaliers are a nice young upstart team that have a great rim protection, and Jared Allen, a young guy who can protect the rim. He's averaging 16 and I believe 16, 11 right now. Then you have Karis LeVert, and a guy who is going to be someone who is going to be able to combat when they get into the playoffs the scoring of some of these other opposing teams that they have. Karis LeVert, age 20, I believe he's 27 at this point, if we can pull up his stats. This is a guy who knows how to create his shot. He really started to get his shine when they played in the NBA bubble, when it was pretty much him and a bunch of role players. They wound up getting swept by the Toronto Raptors, but he actually played relatively well. You can't always look at the stat sheet with that because he didn't really have anybody around him, but he was averaging about 20 points per game, dishing out about 10 assists per game, and he got the vote of a confidence in his approval of Damian Lillard, a star player in this league. And Damian Lillard, he said, Karis LeVert is a real deal. He also knows how to play well with star players. He played underneath the tutelage of a Kyrie Irving, and he played with a Kevin Durant. So just being able to be around those guys and seeing how they work day in and day out is something that he can bring this Cleveland Cavaliers team. I believe currently, and we can look this up, the Cavaliers, I believe, currently with the number 5 seed or the 4 seed in the Eastern Conference. They also have the Darius Garland. So we get to look at, okay, what does Darius Garland, Karis LeVert, the trade, etc., mean for a guy like Colin Sexton?
Right. And I was thinking that same thing.
Yeah, and so I was
like, I think that pushes him out the door unless
you want to expand on that.
Unless you slide. Unless you slide LeVert.
Yeah.
To the 3.
Okay.
That's the only way that would work. I think outside of that, because I think right now they got Laurie,
yes,
Mobley,
yep,
and Jared Allen as the 3, 4, and 5. So unless you're gonna take Laurie, put him on the bench, and slide, well, for this season, Laurie can have that starting spot, and then just see how he plays.
Yeah,
alongside Karis LeVert and the rest of the guys. Darius Garland becoming an all-star. I think that if Karis LeVert was on a good team, he would be an all-star.
Yeah.
And I just think that it's a big deal, but at the same time, it's whatever because it'll make them good, but they're not.
They're not going to be contenders right now.
They're not going to be contenders right now. Currently.
But they could definitely push some teams in the first round. And I think it's kind of funny how the 2 players that the Brooklyn Nets at this juncture could need, right, interior defense and another scorer, because let's be real, Kyrie Irving, he's not
people they shouldn't have traded. Yeah,
we got to put out an open. They shouldn't have traded him at all. Their team was perfectly fine. And Kyrie, as great as he is, he's unreliable due to the fact that he's not able to play all the games. And his injury history. A Karis LeVert at 6'6", being able to put the ball in the basket, and then an interior defender in Jared Allen, who's young, is a piece that you would definitely want right now. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But at the end of the day, hey, I'm happy for both sides, and we'll see what they do. So we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that it'll definitely be interesting. An interesting thing to talk about. I think that Up next, another trade.
Yeah.
Trying to work on stop saying it. I've actually been doing a pretty good job. But CJ McCollum traded to the Pelicans.
Yes.
They got a pretty decent. I was talking to my roommate about it, and I was like, you know what? I don't think that for the level of player that CJ McCollum is, they got some pretty decent players back in that trade. I think getting a Josh Hart, who's he's averaging 13, almost 14. He's averaging almost 8 rebounds, 7 to 8 rebounds a game, and 4 assists. I think he's having a pretty good season. So that's not to say that he's on even nowhere near the level that CJ McCollum is, but you get him. You also get who's young. You get Nikhil Alexander
Walker. Yep.
Alexander Walker, good young piece. I think in that trade you get Zadaransky, a veteran, and you get some picks, or at least a pick. So I do think that, like, for what CJ is, you got some decent stuff back. Plus, it makes you where you're bad enough to where your draft pick being able to keep your draft pick is your first round draft pick is a valuable asset, because now you could get a good draft pick. I do think at the end though, it's already a big deal for the trade, but it's definitely a big deal because it's like, what happens with Dame now?
So the way I look at this trade, I'm gonna be kind of honest with you. A lot of these players that they traded for, they're not gonna be the team for long, because what it is now Josh Hart may stay. I'm not knocking that, because I have his stats in here. He averaged 13, 7.8 rebounds per game, 4.1 assists per game. But if you look at the rest of the pieces that they got in this trade, the Pelicans received CJ McCollum, Larry Nance Jr., and Tony Snow. The Trailblazers received Josh Hart, Sadaransky, as you said, Didi Louzada, who's averaging 0 points per game, and then so Nikhil Alexander, who's shooting 31% from 3, 37% from the field, and then you have a 2022 protected first-round pick. But the first-round pick goes to the Pelicans if it lands between 1 through 4. And then if it's 5 through 14, it stays with the Blazers. But if it's 15 through 30, it goes to my team, the Hornets. But they also got 2 future second-round picks and as a trade asset. And they also have a $21 million trade exception. And Adrian Wojnarowski, or Woj, as we say, Woj. He said Woj said all this trade was pretty much to free up cap space.
Right.
They're looking at $60 million in cap space plus the $21 million trade exception. And so these guys are just role players, and we ask role players to do starter jobs. Dame's not winning with those pieces. So I'm not saying it's a bad trade, but what it is for me, Ralph, is they did this to clear up cap space, and they did a great job of clearing up cap space. So now what you have to do is, going into this, off season, okay, you have to sign guys and try to lure free agents. And what me and you talked about prior to the show, it's like, can they lure a free agent? A big name free agent, but also this free agent pool isn't really that huge.
No.
So we know they need defense. And so my last point is, I had to see, okay, who's actually available, and I have two names for you guys, right? Because there's nobody really available, a big name free agent that's unrestricted and that the team doesn't own their bird rights. But 2 people stood out. Bobby Portis. Now, we talked about Bobby Portis on the show multiple times. He's 26 years old. I thought he was older, but he's 26 years old.
Sure.
And you're like, well, he's playing with Giannis. Why would he want to leave Milwaukee? Well, let's say the Bucks win the championship this year. Right. Or they don't, but they make it again, right?
Right.
Okay, now you either have 2 rings or you've been to the finals 2 times. And it's like, hey, I want to get some money.
Right.
I already got my ring. And Bobby Portis, what is he? He's a power forward, someone they need. Right. He also has NBA finals experience, can bring championship DNA to a team that has yet to be in the championship.
True.
Bruce Brown, Bruce Brown Jr., 25 years old, 6'4", 6'9", wingspan, knows how to play with star players, play with Kyrie, James Harden, play with KD, a great defender and a good defensive rebounder, plays well with others. So you could possibly get a Portis and a Bruce Brown Jr. and then make some other trades and trading those picks that they acquired, right, in this trade on draft day for a star. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because remember, the Drew Holiday thing was a trade, right?
Yes.
It was a trade. So I think we're in agreement here that I think eventually these pieces, like the picks, if you give me 2 future second-round picks plus a first-round pick in this upcoming draft, these are all to be packaged for somebody.
True.
They're gonna because you have to pair Dame with another star. So I think we have to see what star would be on the horizon. Would it be like a Karl Anthony Towns? Would it be somebody? I don't know what his contract situation is. I don't know if he just signed an extension, but or a Siakam, a Pascal Siakam,
right?
Somebody like that. What do you think?
I don't know what that one because I've heard some things, but it's
about
like
Pascal.
With not Pascal, but with Karl Anthony Towns. But then at the same time, it wouldn't make any sense for that to or how could that happen with how well the Suns team is playing. So I don't see it. I don't see him getting out of Minnesota.
Yeah.
And
I wouldn't
want to
live in Minnesota like that. Sorry, Minnesota people, but that's me.
It's too cold. I can't, and I can't deal with nothing that like where it gets that cold. That is doing the absolute most.
Right.
But move on.
Moving on.
Next up, I don't even know how to say his first name, but Sabonis.
Domantas
Sabonis, and is traded to Sacramento Kings for Tyrese Halliburton, Tristan Thompson, and Buddy Hield. Coming with him is Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday.
Yep. Big deal.
Big deal or whatever.
It's a big deal because they need to make a move. I'm gonna say that. And when you look at the Pacers, they have actually. I think the Pacers actually are better off in this situation because you had a log jam there with Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis at the time. And so people are saying, okay, well, Miles Turner wanted to stay in Indiana, apparently. At first, I thought he wanted to leave, but now he's okay, cool, I'm there. You get rid of Sabonis, and you wind up receiving a Tyrese Halliburton, good young shooting guard, which we were actually kind of shocked that the Kings initially, they traded him away. But then you
definitely disagree with it.
Buddy Hield. Now, Buddy Hield, he's been the topic of some Lakers talk, obviously. But this dude, for his career, shoots 40% from the three. So one thing he's going to do is shoot three, and he's going to get up a lot of shots.
True.
But also, you have to look at what they already have there. They have a Malcolm Brogdon, right?
True.
You have actually, I heard it's actually Brogdon, but I call him Brogdon. But anyway, that's how I pronounce my O's. They have a Malcolm Brogdon, and they also have a not a Karis LeVert. I'm missing who else they have in there. But yeah, the only the piece that I see as unusable is Tristan Thompson.
Right.
Yeah. But Brogdon, his issue is the injuries. And once again, some of these trades for me, and I'm going to kind of tie this back into our last topic, it's like, okay, but are you doing enough to contend with the top 5 teams in your conference?
No.
So it's kind of like, I say it's a big deal just because of our wins, but the Pacers have been cursed for like so long with injuries.
Right.
But they had to do something. So I mean,
they did. Like I do think that like it's whatever on the Pacers side, but it's whatever. I do think it's a big deal. I do think it's a big deal for Sacramento because it automatically who you get versus who you replace. Like I get it. I wish they would have been able to keep those two and find a way to get Sabonis, but I do think that you did have to make a move. The reason why I would have traded De'Aaron Fox, but I get it. I mean, at a certain point, he was there for the rough patches. So you kind of try to give him an opportunity to play with another star, if you want to call Sabonis a star. So you give him an opportunity to play with someone else who is as good as he is. You can put it that way. And you reward his loyalty and to a certain degree and give him an opportunity. I'm going to let you do what you do, and then we're going to see from there.
Yeah.
Because on top of that, you have Davion Mitchell. You had Tyrese Halliburton, and you had De'Aaron Fox. So it's like you kind of, at a certain point, somebody got to go because you can do – it's kind of like that same situation with Colin Sexton. It's like at a certain point, I think that all 3 of you are starters, but I can only start 2. Someone's going to eventually want to start as well. So it's better to get you out of here.
Yeah.
Pick which ones you want to go with. I would have went with Tyrese Halliburton, given his age. I think he's a better shooter. Like we talked about off air, De'Aaron Fox shooting from
he's a downhill slasher.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What he is.
Exactly.
You want someone who can,
So,
can
but
shoot.
In that same instance, I do think it gives them an opportunity to it gives, like I was looking at their record is like they have 10 more losses than the person that's furthest away from them at the 7th spot.
Yeah.
But you get a Sabonis, you get Justin Holiday, you get Jeremy Lamb. Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, all veterans. Sabonis is a legit 20-10 possibility every night. You pair him with Rashard Holmes. We'll see what happens with Bagley.
I was going to ask you about that. I'm like, you get Sabonis, but Bagley it didn't work with Fox and Bagley. So now it's like, okay, with Sabonis, if anything, I think they need to move Bagley because Bagley doesn't want to be there.
True. Yeah.
Neither of them want to be there because they both vocalized it. His
Right.
dad even said it. So I was kind of like, okay, are you going to move Bagley? That's going to be the next kind of thing. You need to move him.
Right. I do think so. I do think they got to move him.
Yeah.
And
he'll probably be a Pelican or something. They always use Pelicans as the shadow realm team.
True.
So.
And we move on.
All right.
Last big deal or whatever.
Woo.
Deion Sanders and Shannon Sharpe had some strong criticisms for the Pro Bowl. I'm not going to cap. I looked up and I seen Mac Jones scrambling. And then I was just like,
Mark Andrews.
I was like, why did they just stop? Why did they stop him? Like, they didn't even try to tackle him. I was just like, all right, that's weird. And then I was watching the highlight and they called the play dead. And I was like, wait a minute. They play a two-hand touch? And then I was like, maybe it's just like, maybe that's just for the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And then I seen somebody caught a screen pass and they went to turn up field and they touched them and the play was dead. And I was like, wait a minute. I think it was Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Caught a screen pass or like a quick flat.
Something like that.
And I was like, no, please don't do that. Like, I remember being a kid and I couldn't wait for like Pro Bowl weekend. Like the skills challenges. When they played the flag football in the sand. Some people have gotten injured during that, but that was still a good time. And then like just the Pro Bowl game itself. Like I remember Sean Taylor just destroying that punter.
Yeah.
Who tried to go for it on fourth down. Like they played hard at a certain point. You would think like you're amongst your peers. This is the best of the best. Show you're the best. And it's like that's not what's happening. So it's sad. I do think at a certain point, it's gonna get to a point where we're like, all right, you made the Pro Bowl, but we're not having a game. Like you were voted in the Pro Bowl. Yeah. You're one of our all. You're pretty much an all-star, but we're not gonna have the game anymore because nobody's watching it. Nobody's playing in it.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where I look at it and I agree with you about back in the day when we were coming up, it was fun because you had the Sean Taylor blowing off a punter's head, you know. But also, I like the fact that I want to see the Pro Bowl. This is my suggestion. One, bring the game back. People talk about flag football, right? I don't really like to watch flag football. I like to play flag football. Make it allow people to hit each other, you know. But also, you can sign a liability waiver about injury.
Right.
That's one. I'm just sorry. It is what it is. Because you've been playing football since Pop Warner. Okay.
Right.
That's one. And people in the yesteryear didn't have a problem with it. It's kind of like Madden when you had things going well, but then you take things out.
Right.
Like the skills challenge. You took them out and then you add them back in, the fastest man and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then the next thing is everyone should be they can get rid of the Pro Bowl jerseys and everyone should actually wear their own team jersey to represent their team because the Pro Bowl of you made it from your team, right?
Right.
So just like the NBA used to have the jerseys of the Lakers, the Utah Jazz, bring that back. Bring those back from the early 2000s, et cetera, you know, and then they, you know, so those are the different suggestions. I would say change the jerseys for aesthetic purposes and to represent your team.
Just put like a Pro Bowl patch on it.
In a Pro Bowl patch. Exactly.
AFC team.
Right. That's what they used to do.
Patch.
But we need to implement the game. Maybe you can shorten the length of the game. Maybe you can change some different rules of the game or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. Or if you don't do contact, then you need to do some type of different rules where it's more arcade style.
I was gonna say arcade. Whoa, you know they just out here ripping heads off.
Man, no, we're gonna
clothesline.
We're gonna get Deacon Jones back in the game.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Smacked in the side of the head. Have it be like like street ball.
Right, exactly. Or maybe
NFL street.
Or maybe do something
behind the back passes and stuff.
Or you have some type of legend stuff where you have some legends participate. You know how we talked in this very show last week on the podcast where you had certain activities where you had NBA legends and a current player and somebody else, a WNBA and NBA and a legend and like a shootout or something.
True.
We need to have something like that in the Pro Bowl, I believe. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm in agreement with Primetime, Deion Sanders, and Shannon Sharpe on the lack of excitement and just the pathetic showcase that it was, for those that decided to tune in and watch
it. Very true. Yeah, that joint was all bad.
Yeah.
Right. Next up, Russell Westbrook brings up some interesting comments. And I even like before the next morning, I seen it in the morning, but the night of, I seen 2 or 3 people that I follow post this graphic, and it's LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and then where Malik Monk scored 29 points that game and had a really good game, they put Russell Westbrook's bad game stats up there. Instead of highlighting the good, you want to talk about the bad part. I get it as Russell Westbrook. Everybody, he's not having the best season.
Right.
I've even seen people I know for a fact that think he's their favorite player have criticized him and said he does need to play better, but it's a fit thing. At the end of the day, it's a fit thing. But at the end of the day, you got to make it work. You want it to be there. Right. So I do get it from a certain degree, but at a certain point, media, we get it.
Yeah.
He's having a bad season. He doesn't fit. It just is what it is at this point.
They love to build you up and then tear you
down. Right. And so I do think it is unfair because he has had games where he's played very well. No media talk, no media coverage, not nearly as much media coverage when he has a bad game. So I do think he is being treated unfairly. But at the same time, some of it is your own undoing. Like that clip with Shaq. And Shaq's telling him, like, yo, slow down. You playing too damn fast.
Right.
And it's like, you look at his demeanor being told that, it's like, oh, that's Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq wouldn't be telling you something that would harm your game.
Yep.
So why wouldn't you listen to that person?
Yeah, I do believe it's a big deal, and I believe that is unfair. I believe there's a couple different things going on with Russell Westbrook. I was going to say Russell Wilson. Russell Westbrook of the Los Angeles Lakers. Him joining the Los Angeles Lakers is not and was never going to be an optimal fit. When you have one, LeBron James there, obviously now he's injured, but you have 2 primary ball handlers who also, can lead the leagues in like turnovers and different things of that nature. He can't shoot. He needs to be around guys who can, defend, space the floor, et cetera, where he can attack the basket with reckless abandon. So it's not a fit. But as it pertains to them actually sitting up there and, constantly showcasing his stats, they should only showcase his stats and point out his poor play when they're mentioning Russell Westbrook in the commentary, right? And during the game, over the course of the game. If Malik Monk is having a good game, you should be highlighting it, how they're impacting, who has the ball, things of that nature. But there are things that Russell Westbrook has done post-game, after post-game, in post-game interviews where he brushes things off, or he makes comments, or he makes snide remarks, or he's been disrespectful in a way, in my view, in my opinion, to reporters. So therefore, report media, any way they can get at you, they're going to get at you.
Oh yeah, once they see that they know you can get they're underneath your skin.
Yep,
it's a wrap.
And they're gonna remember, like, what was last thing he said to me, or whatever. I'll give you guys an example. This is my last point. Rest in peace to the late great, Kobe Bean Bryant, my favorite player of all time. There was one time when Kobe Bryant, was ranked as, I believe, the 43rd best player by ESPN, the rankings, right? And so this is Kobe Bryant coming off an injury. I believe it was 2014, 2015. He wasn't playing particularly well. I think it was either the 43rd or the 93rd best player in the NBA by ESPN's rankings. And he said, I've known for a long time that they're a bunch of idiots, or you guys are a bunch of idiots. What did they do? I kid you not. The very next day, guys, if you went to ESPN.com, there was 3 articles and like 3 videos. And the biggest story, they showed Kobe Bryant literally like just bad plays. You know what I'm saying? It was one where he got crossed up by, I think it was Rodney Hood one time. They just threw anything where he got crossed up, anything where he missed a shot, anything. And that's how the media can actually paint a narrative. So yeah, maybe he was playing poorly, but you don't have to lay it on. They decided to lay it on. Why? Due to comments that Kobe, he himself had made. And this is the NBA legend. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a little bit of things going on, but it doesn't necessarily make it right, like you're saying, Ralph.
Yes, true.
And at the end of the day, there's difference between being disrespectful and constructive criticism. There you go.
True. And I think sometimes
I had to get that out.
think that like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna just put it on NBA stars because I
Mm-hmm.
think stars in general, in order to get to a certain point, you had to have been a certain you got to be a certain level of good in order to get to become a star anyway. But most people, especially at the NBA level, there's not that many. The percentage of players who were not really sought after coming out of high school, weren't a star on their college team, then make it to the NBA to become a star is very small.
Right.
So it's even to a certain degree like John Morant wasn't sought after coming out of high school, but he was a star in college.
Yeah.
So it's like you got to think about most people have either been told they were really good and then got to college and realized they weren't. People weren't really talking about them like that. But a lot of them they were told they were great in middle school. They were told they were great in high school. They were told they were great in college. And then they get to the NBA, and now people are criticizing them. They don't know how to handle that.
Exactly.
And I think that too often, that's what we're getting with a Ben Simmons. Because I went back and I looked at that press conference. And then I paid attention to some of the things I paid attention to the story to a certain degree. So I know some things that have been said behind the scenes and tweets and things like that. But I just don't see where you as the player can be so in your feelings about what was said, but I don't blame them for what they said.
Yeah.
I don't think they said anything that was egregious.
I think he had the issue with the publicity of it, but at the end of the day,
we
it's like,
all watched the game.
We all watched the game. So it's not hiding
the game. Yeah. It's not like this is like some behind the scenes conversation and then it got put out.
The play.
We watched you 6'10", being guarded by someone that's listed at 6'2".
Yep.
And you passed up the layup and went.
I believe he's sensitive, but that's another story.
And that's extremely sensitive. I just think he's being extremely sensitive. This is one of the moments where, like, the light skin jokes. This is one of those reasons why light skinned dudes get the light skin joke. I think that he's being extremely sensitive. I don't see how people could say they side with you over the Sixers. Now I do think that the Sixers are stupid at this point. Like, bro, just trade him. He don't want to be there. You're not.
They want Daryl, and then the Daryl Morey. They want
the one thing that I don't get with that is I don't get what Ben Simmons got to do with that. Because James Harden is a free agent after this year.
Yeah.
So you could just get him to sign. So it's not like you're going to sign James Harden and then try to talk Ben Simmons into staying there. Yeah. He don't want to be there.
Exactly.
If you add another star, I really don't want to be here.
Right.
Because he literally does what I do.
Yeah.
And he shoots way better. So he's going to run the point. I want to run the point, which I feel like Ben Simmons truly wants to run the point.
Yeah. He wants to run the point, but he could play the 4.
Right. Then you're going to play the 4 in my offense.
I've seen him play the 4 very well, actually.
You're going to play the 4 in my offense.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And I think it's going to rear its ugly head soon. But we'll see what happens with that one. Up next.
On to the next one.
All-Star reserves have been announced.
Mm-hmm.
They've even announced the injury replacements. DeJounte Murray will be replacing Draymond Green, who was voted in as a reserve. And LaMelo Ball will be replacing the captain, Kevin Durant, on the East. And I see you got the names over there, so I'm going to let you take over at this point.
All right. So the All-Star reserves for the Eastern Conference, we will have Jimmy Butler, Darius Garland, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum, Fred Van Fleet. LaMelo Ball got added to the All-Star reserves. For the Western Conference, we have Devin Booker, Luka Doncic, Rudy Gobert, Dejounte Murray, like Ralph said so eloquently earlier, will be replacing Draymond Green, who is going to be out due to a back injury. Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz, Chris Paul of the Phoenix Suns, and Karl Anthony Towns of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we're going to be looking at it as, did they get this right?
Yes.
Or do we believe that these were the players that should be in? And I'm in agreement. I like to see all those players that were in there. Obviously, Chris Paul, he is the best point guard on the best team in the Western Conference. He's been playing very well. They've been on multiple win streaks this season. CB3, he's a veteran in this league, and this is well deserved. I believe LaMelo Ball is someone that we talked about previously before. Charlotte Hornets. When you look at excitement, he's somebody that people want to see as well. He's going to be fun for the fans. Him having a chance to share the backcourt with a Zach LaVine. You look at some of the other guys on here. Rudy Gobert is kind of there by default every year. You know what I'm saying now.
Right.
At this point, bless you. Since the snub that he wound up getting, Devin Booker, we talked about that as well. Last week, I believe. Devin Booker is a guy who was on the best team, shooting guard. You could say he's the best player, while Chris Paul is the most valuable player of that team. And you want to kind of run off anything? You want to kind of make some notes on that, bro? Like all these teams.
So
reserves?
For me, I wanted to bring up some people that I think probably should have made it, or even could have made it. I think they should have made it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that he's on a very bad team, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I'm just at a certain point, like when you start talking about players in the league and even his peers bring up his name all the time. Young stars in this league. 23-year-old, averaging 23, 6 and 5. And I know it's on a bad team, but he played well when he had Chris Paul too. So it for me, I just think at a certain point, like,
would you replace Chris Paul with him?
No.
Okay, because you have to replace him with one of these players.
No,
reserves.
But I think that I don't think that it has to be a person at his position. I think you could replace other people. Well, one, I don't think Andrew Wiggins should have made the All-Star team, but hey, that's my personal opinion.
Oh yeah, well, this is the West.
Yes, that's Gilgeous-Alexander. Is one.
I could see him being over there over Wiggins. Now, I could see like, I still think one of those guys has to start. Booker or like one of those, and then I would put.
I personally think Booker should have started.
Yeah, I thought Booker should start.
You bring Chris Paul off as a reserve. I'd have been cool with that
because you have Ja Morant and Curry. Because I'm thinking about like the front court, back court, and positions. You know, because it's positional basketball, positionless basketball. So yeah, but I agree with the Shai.
I think once you get to the reserves, it should just be the best.
Yeah,
the best hoopers, and I'm thinking
because Gobert is kind of
by position,
kind of.
And I don't like me. Y'all know how I feel about Gobert. I'm not gonna go on a smearing campaign of him, but
Jokic,
at the same time, I'm like, no, I just don't think.
Yeah,
I don't care about that crying on TV when you didn't get in the first time. Like that's Ironically, he's made their All-Star team 3 times since then.
But do you want to see him in the All-Star?
But I don't want to see
exactly.
And this is the thing when we talked about it beforehand. It's like the All-Star game is entertainment at the end of the day. We want to see the best players on the court, and there's nothing about Rudy Gobert's game that makes me want to see that
at
all. So it's like I don't want to see no oop thrown to him. I don't want to see.
He doesn't have a go-to offensive move.
He don't even. I don't even want to see him and Embiid go at it because he ain't gonna do nothing on the offensive end. Like sometimes I'm willing to see a Joel Embiid Jokic 1-on-1.
I would definitely like to see that
up and a few times up and down the court, but we'll see. Because are they still doing the vote, or is it just East and West now? Because I know that they're paying a lot of attention to the fact that this is East and West. But I know before they were picking teams. Are they still doing that?
No, they should be picking teams.
Okay.
Because remember, I believe LeBron and KD were were named the captains.
True.
Yeah.
So I figured they were still doing that. But I just was saying, just in the instance, you would think if one person picks Jokic, I'm picking who the other big is.
All right.
Right after that, like I'm not letting you get both of them.
Right.
And
that'd be crazy. Jokic and Embiid on the same team.
Jokic, Giannis, and Embiid all on the same team. Like, no, bro, no.
Right. Oh my goodness, that'd be crazy, bro. That'd be crazy.
Unless you want to rock with like a bunch of small dudes.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm LeBron,
small ball.
Put
LeBron at the 5 like he's been playing.
Right. And then got 4 guards, 4 shooters that stretch their.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy.
LeBron's Steph Curry.
Right. Playing 2K out there, literally just out here just trying stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think that that's one thing. Another person to bring because he's having a heck of a season, and I really truly believe that he is the difference maker on why the Grizzlies are ranked so high, or even third in the standings. Is Jaren Jackson Jr. Every year we've been talking about Jaren Jackson Jr. and how talented he is for a couple years now.
Yeah,
but at this point, he's 22 years old, which is crazy because it's like, how long has he been in the league? It feels like he's been in the league for forever.
Yeah,
and he's
it's just
only
the health.
22.
You just gotta stay healthy.
But this is the first year where he's actually stayed pretty healthy, and it's paying dividends for them because they've gone without Ja, they've gone without Dylan Brooks for some time, and he's been the one person that's been consistently there. Now his numbers, on the other hand, are not really eye popping. Where he's only shooting 32. He's only shooting 32% from three, while also he only averaging 16, 17 points a game. But he's definitely a difference maker on defense. He has a versatility in his game where he can line up at the four, but then he can take bigger men off the dribble, but he can take the small man to the post. And he has long, lanky. I just think that that's one person that we should have that should definitely get some looks, and we'll see what happens going forward. Jared Allen is another one that I think should be on this list because he is someone that plays so hard. He is someone that I actually enjoy. I know this for the same reason. I know we criticize Gobert, but I think that Jared Allen is one of them people that, because I've seen Gobert get dunked on too many times.
No, that's the thing. But
and it's and Jared Allen is actually the person that he blocks a lot of dunks.
But I have a conspiracy. People are voting Gobert on. People are voting Gobert in to the All-Star game just to see people like Giannis, to see people like Zach LaVine and company dunk on him. You like that, don't you? It could be. You know what I'm saying? It could be because
he's out here torturing that man.
Right? Because think about it. In the All-Star game, someone's going to try to yam on him.
True.
Someone is going to try to. They're just not going to go, oh, look, I got Gobert in a switch. I'm just going to shoot this three over him. No, I'm going to try to take him to the hoop and then flush on him like Terry Rozier flushed on old boy on KD. You feel what I'm saying?
True.
Yeah. And Miles Bridges definitely should. I see Miles Bridges.
I was going to say, that was going to be the last one I mentioned.
He's been clutch all season.
I definitely think that he's starting to play and meet some of that promise that he had coming out of Michigan State.
Bounce back season.
And so I do think that he could possibly end up being a most improved player candidate at the end of the year. So
no love for Oubre.
Not
listen. No. Oubre could be six man candidate though.
Yes, true.
Kelly Oubre.
True. I do think he can possibly go down as a 6-man.
Those races are going to, that and the most improved is going to be the tough. That and the most improved, and then I would say MVP would be like the third toughest race this season, bro.
True.
But that most improved will be crazy.
And then, all right, so we got almost 20 minutes left. Do you want to talk about Hugh and Brian, or do you want to go straight to the Super Bowl? I say go straight to Super Bowl.
Let's go to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, because people are like, when you guys going to talk about the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl, the game of all games, the game that's more important than your Saturday game that your parents take you to on the weekends, guys. If your kids listen to this show, I'm sorry.
So up first, the prop bets.
Yes,
the good old prop bets.
Hollywood.
The
Rams money line. No, let me stop. No, that's not a prop bet.
That's not a prop bet.
That's not a prop bet at all.
But man. I do think that it's gonna be interesting because I didn't get a chance to look it up, because one of the first ones I normally always look up is can you bet on how long the national anthem goes?
Yeah.
Because, bro, if they get anybody black to sing the national anthem, that song gonna go on for 30 minutes.
Did you hear that Janae Aiko is going to be singing Made in America or whatever? You know, she's singing that, and people are clowning on social media. They said, is she gonna whisper it? I'm like, y'all messed up. And you know, I love me some Janae. I've been listening to her since Sailing Souls EP and B2K days, but come on now.
What's the Made in America song? Why don't I know that?
I will not say that I don't know it, because people will say we're unpatriotic on the show. No, let me stop now.
I don't know that song. I know the national anthem. I know the black national anthem.
I was going to say, we know the black national anthem.
I know they better not be. They better not have her singing that. I'll tell you that much. I would be irate.
No. It's excuse me. I do know it. I'm sorry, guys. It's the one that Ray Charles did. America, America.
Oh,
That one.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's why it's going to be interesting. How is she? I mean, she can sing it, but it's going to be like, what rendition is a Janae Aiko? You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, she gonna whisper that.
Dog, she really is finna.
Yeah.
America.
Yeah. She gonna come out there with her guitar, man.
Don't do her like that. I like her.
No,
I like Janae.
Her music is dope.
She toxic,
it's dope.
but I like Janae.
It's dope, yeah. And toxic, some of it. Not all of it, but
But so for me, some ones I'm actually personally feeling like taking.
Prop bet that 50 Cent will show up during the halftime show because it's gonna be Dre and Eminem. That's his special guest. Hey, that would be a nice prop bet. That special as a guest before that is gonna be. But if you want to go first, or I can go.
I'm just gonna shout. I'm just gonna throw one out. So plus 550.
550
for both teams scoring in every quarter. I'm thinking about taking that one, yo. Just like.
So you don't believe in the Rams defense?
Nah, it's not even that.
See, I'm trying to make you second guess that. Nah,
I do think that the Bengals, if they can follow the game plan, I think that too often people go. They try to go with their strength instead of sticking with a game plan.
Yeah.
Where your strength to just take Joe Burrow and 3 wide, because I think their tight end is going to be out. I would expect him to be out the way that he looked. I thought he was coming out. The way that injury looked, I would say out.
He's going to come back like Lazarus from the dead.
He's going to come back like T.O.
Or like Tiny Tim.
He'll come back like T.O. Y'all ain't going to be ready.
T.O., man, he's going to come back like that. He's going to be the Jeremy Shockey. T.J. was mama. Went into the hyperbolic chamber and came out like Jeremy Shockey.
Right. But I do think that offense, if the offense does what it's supposed to do, like I do think that pass rush is a weakness, but they can run the football. Joe Mixon ran for 1,200 yards. So I do think that you can use the aggressiveness of the defense against them. Use draw plays, play action, use some quick screens, quick passes to avoid the pass rush. But he was sacked 9 times and still was able to move the ball down the field against the Titans. So there's a possibility that they could still be putting points on the board.
Field goals.
Exactly. So for me personally, like I would have looked into the over, because I think originally what I had was I was going to take the Rams minus the points and over.
Yeah, because I think it was
originally what I was going to do. And so I'm just like at 48, what's that about? Because that's a 28-24 game.
A sneaky their defense is very sneaky.
True.
From the secondary to guys like Hendrickson getting to the quarterback.
True.
I think he's had a sack every game. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, they haven't gone up against a receiving core of this ilk.
Right.
Like, no disrespect to Kelsey and Tyreek Hill, but the way Odell what he can do, and then Cooper Kupp has been the clear-cut offensive player of the year, period.
Facts.
And he's having like the greatest receiver season.
Close.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
He's having one of them. He's like, not the greatest.
Well,
not the greatest,
but
it's one of them.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
It's a passing error, though.
Right.
Like because Jamar Chase broke Randy Moss's like rookie receiving record by like miles.
Right.
But we have to think about the error, like you said.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that he's nowhere near at this point.
At this point, right.
At this point,
even as an athlete, Randy Moss is different.
Right. But
Jamar Chase,
and he was 6'4".
He could be an all-time great down the line, but we have to see.
And he was also 6'4", and he ran at 4'3".
Yeah.
And he jumped he had a 40-inch vertical or something like that.
Because Chase, his yak is crazy. He'd be taking them joints to the house too off the screen. I'm like, man, this dude.
I think with him though,
he has game speed.
Yes. I think that's what it is because he don't even, while he's running, he don't even, like Tyreek, when he catch the ball, he do a little quick little juke move, he get out of there. Like,
don't get me started
that
on
speed,
Tyreek, man. That fastest man competition.
Yeah,
This dude just was.
But he legit looks fast on screen. Where like Jamar Chase, I'm just like.
But he's big too, so he's not exactly the easiest to tackle.
Yeah.
Cause you know what he is? He's quick. He's sneakily, deceptively quick too, because he catches that and people are missing tackles.
Right.
So he may not have the straight line speed.
Right.
But he has like the. Whoosh,
yes, he could probably get to his top speed quickly.
Yeah, he has acceleration.
True.
Acceleration. Good point, Ralph. What else you got for us?
So I got every quarter.
Gonna have 6 points.
Plus 235 for either team using 6 timeouts. So they would have to use all 3 timeouts in the first half, all 3 timeouts in the second half. I feel like Sean McVay gonna use them timeouts. I've watched a lot of Rams games. I've never watched Bengals game until they played the Raiders in round 1.
Oh, but to say you haven't watched them at all in the playoffs. I was like, what? I'm like,
yeah, until they played the Raiders.
Yeah.
In the first round, I've never watched a Bengals game,
gotcha.
So I don't even know the tendencies of the coach. I know Sean McVay is very susceptible to doing certain things. He'll definitely try to throw the football instead of trying to run it when the running is working. He's definitely one of them types that'll go, I'm gonna try to use my strength, even though that's the game plan should be for this because that's really your weakness. But I'm gonna throw the football all day. I know he got a little bit of Andy Reid in him.
Yeah.
So, but I do think he's gonna use them timeouts.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna rock with that one.
All right.
You got anyone you want to use?
Yeah, I like this plus 600 Cooper Kupp as the MVP, Super Bowl MVP. Now, if you look at historically, I believe defensively, because 10 players have won the Super Bowl MVP and they're on defense. Everyone else, the quarterbacks usually win. The receivers, I'm not quite sure how many have won it. I should actually look that up. How many times this happened? How many a receiver won Super Bowl MVP? I got it right here.
I know a few.
Because I know Jerry Rice won one. I believe Ben Swan won one. I believe Santonio Holmes won one.
Yes.
Let's see.
No. Okay. What was old boy? Deion Branch.
Deion Branch won one. Yeah.
Julian Edelman won one.
Whether wires. Yeah. So those are the guys who won one. I don't know why it's not giving me the exact number. But anyway, either way, because Cooper Kupp, that would be the perfect cap to his season.
True.
He's quiet, doesn't really say much.
Right.
And he's just been balling. And I'm looking at it more from this standpoint, Ralph, right?
Been balling out of control.
They don't have a premier corner that can really handle Cooper Kupp on the outside or on the slot, right? And this is going to be one of those games where he's going to have to make an impact, or he's going to make an impact. Like, period. He's going to make an impact. At this point, there's nobody on the field that I see stopping that guy. I believe he has 100 yards in every game so far in the playoffs.
True. The one thing I can see happening, I do think it if I'm Cincinnati's defense,
you can try to double, but
you double him, but I do think on the other end,
Odell's going to tear you alive.
Odell, Van Jefferson, Higbee, like Cam Akers, like it's just a lot that can go wrong with that. So I do think points are going to be put up on the board.
Yeah.
Off rip. I do think the ball will be thrown a lot early in the game. On on the Rams side, I do think I think the Bengals should start off running the football because like kind of get them in passing formations, but run the football.
My only issue with that is the Rams are great at stopping the run. So, and Mixon hasn't really.
But people have ran on them though.
They've ran on them, but Mixon, that's where Mixon comes in. They can still use Mixon as a pass catcher.
Sure.
Because he's been actually catching the ball very well.
Sure.
So I think they're going to try to mix it in, but if it doesn't work, they're going to and then start using him on. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
They're going to try to get home with the 4 guys. They're not going to try to blitz you that much. But I would say throw the ball to Mixon, use him, especially if Uzama's out, and Jamar Chase is going to be bracketed by Jalen Ramsey majority of the game. Ramsey's going to take that personal.
True.
You're going to have T. Higgins over the middle. You're going to have Boyd. Mixon. So I'm still saying you can run with Mixon, but I think it will be kind of situational, like how they did against the Chiefs.
True.
You know what I'm saying? But did you want to make your predictions in terms of
and then last prop bet before we start breaking down the football game?
Yeah.
Plus 800 for a lead change in the last minute in the fourth quarter. But it cannot go to OT.
Okay.
Me personally, I've been talking about taking the Rams minus 4.5. So it would have to be a touchdown. Would have to be the lead change. So I don't know. I'm gonna stay away from that one, but I can see it happening because it's like, when was the last time there was a blowout?
In the Super Bowl 2013.
And then when there was a blowout, did we expect it to be a blowout?
I did. What I try to tell people about the Legion of Boom.
Right, but most people did not expect the blowout.
No, I say 75%.
As a consensus, as a majority, when we expect it to be a blowout, it rarely ever happens. Yeah. The only time people expected it to be a blowout, and it was a blowout, was when the Ravens played the Giants.
Well,
because it should have been the Vikings.
It should have been the Vikings, but the Vikings got destroyed.
Yeah,
they got destroyed by Kerry Collins and Strahan and Tiki Barber, who fumbles.
That was fumbling Tiki too.
The fumbler Tiki. But let me get started on Tiki. Tiki even anyway. Don't even start on Tiki, man. Mr. Potato Head Tiki.
But yeah, with that, I'm probably gonna stay away from that one.
All right.
Because I have the Rams. Mm-hmm. So to segue into this, I do think that the Rams are just gonna end up being too much. I think that the Cinderella story is for the Bengals ends here. I think that you just got they're it's gonna strike midnight.
You don't believe in the year of the tiger?
No,
the year of the tiger, the Chinese.
I do not. I do think that
year of the tiger. Huh?
One, I picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl. I picked the Rams to get to the Super Bowl, and I said that they were going to win the Super Bowl at a certain point.
You did.
Then I just don't see it, man. Like I can, a part of me, there's a part of me that roots for Joe Burrow. But at the same time, because he went to Ohio State, so I still got a little bit of love.
Wait, Burrow went to Ohio State?
Yeah.
I think he went to sell it. Well, he transferred, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He went to Ohio State.
How many games he played at Ohio State?
He didn't play none because he wasn't getting no minutes over Justin Fields.
See this level of validation, trying to validate his reasoning.
He wasn't getting no burn over Justin Fields.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Well, no, I don't even know if it was Justin Fields. I think it was J.T. Barrett. Yeah. He couldn't get burned over J.T. Barrett. But the moment I seen him with the buffs on, and if you're from Detroit, shout out to you. You know what the buffs are. But the moment I seen him with them light blue buffs, I was just like, yo, that boy's built different.
Yeah.
So I root for him. But your team's offense, their weakness is that team's strength.
Yeah. And
so that makes it hard. Then on defense, you don't really have this crazy defense to me. Like you have a bend but don't break defense. And your offense isn't like a juggernaut. You just have a really good quarterback who's very smart, cerebral, and able to patch up holes as the game goes along. He makes really good in-game adjustments. So I do think that they have a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
But with Jalen Ramsey going up against Jamar Chase, I think that'll pay a big deal. I think that'll be a big deal. The injury to your tight end and the fact that your offensive line gave up 9 sacks to the Titans.
Yeah.
And they don't even have nearly the front seven that this Rams team have. It's going to be hard for me to go with anything else. So for me, Rams, but I do think I wouldn't be surprised if it went under, but I do think there's going to be points put on the board.
So you think the Bengals can cover? That's what it kind of sounds like.
I don't think that because I don't even think they're going to cover the spread. I think they're going to lose by at least 5.
Oh, okay. Because
I'm taking the 4.5 and the over.
Because I would say if that's the case, I would just say go
minus.
Take the money line. Take the Rams money line.
Rams minus 4.5.
You don't want to take that Rams money line?
Well, it's the money's in the
spread
because they're expected to win.
That's true. So for me, I'm picking the Rams. The reason why I'm picking the Rams are all for the same aforementioned reasons that you said, Ralph. You've been on the Rams all season, but when I the Rams, first and foremost, and I mentioned this even last year, this is a team that has the 2 best players at the 2 most important positions on the defensive side of the ball. That's interior pass rusher and Aaron Donald. He is the best defensive player in football. You can make the case now that Tom Brady is out that he is the best player in football. Also, I know you have Patrick Mahomes, but just in terms of what he's able to do, how he's able to wreak havoc, and also then you have Jalen Ramsey, who's the best cover corner. He's an elite in man coverage. He can shut down the opposing player's best Ruppin are the receiving core at the same time. Now Jamar Chase, it's strength versus strength. But Jalen Ramsey, just last year, he had one of the greatest cornerback seasons as well. But this year, he's been playing relatively well as well, and just what he's able to do there. So I'm thinking that when you look at Ralph, like you said, them targeting, Joe Burrow loves to target clear cut Jamar Chase. He mentions it. Everyone knows it. That's the game plan. At some point, okay, cool. You guys are going to know. You have 2 weeks to prepare, right? Okay, cool. So everyone's going to come prepared. I look at the interior pass rush that opens up for a Von Miller. Also, that's another person who I know the odds aren't necessarily on his favor, but I think he's a sneaky pick for MVP. Why? Because he's done it before.
True.
Like DMX said, he's like, I've done it before, so I can do it again. You know what I'm saying? Word to DMX, rest in peace, man. So Von Miller is someone in the back of my mind where I could see him wreaking havoc.
And he's made big plays in the last 2 games.
And I believe he has, I want to say, excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong, Ralph. I want to say he's had 7 sacks since he's joined the Rams, and I think he's had a sack each game in the playoffs. So that's very sneaky.
I don't think he got one last week.
I don't know, but
because I remember when
he was in that play though, right?
I remember when I was looking at doing my research for that game. I remember that he didn't have a sack, but he was the one that caused
the fumble.
Jimmy to run into Aaron Donald.
Exactly. So I think Von Miller's sneaky if we're looking at defense.
True.
And then you have Leonard Floyd. And okay, so if CJ Uzomah is injured, that takes away another a weapon for Joe Burrow. And then you have a T. Higgins who's good and a Tyler Boyd. So I'm looking at it from that standpoint, just on the Rams side. And then offensively, like you said, just the weapons that they have. I believe Odell Beckham, he worked so hard to get here. Yeah, he feels like he has something to almost like prove in a way. You know what I'm saying? Also, he wants to be in LA. And so we saw what Antonio Brown was able to do with the Tampa Bay Bucks and how kind of his story and different things of that nature. I just think the Rams are kind of there. Quite frankly, let's just say what it is. We believe that the Rams are just the better team.
True.
Yeah. Yes, the Chiefs, you could say the Chiefs were the better team, and the Bengals, I believe, yes, they did deserve to be here outside of that fiasco in Oakland, which was the refs. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But every step of their way, it wasn't their fault that Ryan Tanner scrubbed through the interception.
True.
It wasn't their fault that Patrick Mahomes choked because they put themselves in position to allow that to happen. You know what I'm saying?
I can't help it if you beat yourself and I don't beat myself.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, for the sake of time, look, man, the Bengals, I think they're great. They possibly could cover because I think Joe Burrow's different. He's different because he's taking the hits, right?
True.
But I think ultimately, overall, Ralph, the Rams, like you've been saying, you've been sticking with them all year. The Rams are just a better team. And I think that if they lose at home,
right,
Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford,
right,
you know what I'm saying? You're going to pay what you owe, in the words of Riley Freeman.
True.
I'm going to be at your crib.
That'll be a trip.
Right. With all my homies.
That could be a catastrophe.
Yeah.
That is wild.
I'm putting my next paycheck on this.
Right.
Let me stop. All right.
But thank you all for watching.
Mm-hmm.
Had a good show. Make sure you tune in to the page and the channel. We will be working on merch soon.
Merch.
The He Say, She Say podcast will be coming back as well. Got some big things for that. Trying to figure out where I'm going to be filming it at, because we are changing some concepts and the whole framework of how the show is going to work. But thank you all for watching. Make sure you follow everything. Stay tuned. Follow the YouTube, Facebook page, the He Say, She Say, all one big word channel. Follow and like, subscribe to the YouTube, please. Make sure you follow the YouTube, not the YouTube, but Instagram page for the show, J.U.K. Sports Show. Follow me on TikTok, Twitch, and Instagram at KYNGRALPH. Shout out to my Twitch followers.
And you can follow me at the.house-of-hoops on IG for NBA news, highlights, content, player, and team analysis. All right, Ralph.
All right. Enjoy that Super Bowl. Enjoy good weather. We finally got some good weather today.
Yeah.
I'm definitely taking this fleece off because I was cooking on the way to the studio. It's freezing in here, but it's really good weather outside.
That is true. It's freezing in here. It's cold, guys.
It's colder than polar bear toes.
Yeah.
And we're out of here, y'all. Thank you.
Peace.
That's how Janae Ayako is going to sound as the national anthem.
So rude, man. So rude.